Okay, everybody, welcome. I just want to say hello and thank you for joining us for our next DisclosureFest Foundation live
Hey, everybody,
stream.
welcome.
And today, very excited because
Just want to say hello and thank you for joining
a 2-hour vision train art workshop with world-renowned artist Amanda Sage. And I'm going to bring Amanda on in a few minutes to say hello. But I'm your host, Jimmy Church. And let me jump in to say that doing this and by being here, just clicking and being here today says that you are a light worker. And the entire thing is powered by the Disclosure Fest Foundation Live and Portal to Ascension. I want to say thank you really quick to Neil Gower for all of his hard work. And hello to everybody out there on YouTube and Facebook and everywhere that we are streaming today. And I do want to thank all of you for gathering here. This is going to be a really, really cool presentation. And I've had a sneak peek. So get ready for that. And I want to say a few things about what we are doing here. First off, Disclosure Fest is still on schedule for downtown LA on June 20th. That date may change. The world is in flux. All of us right now are feeling the stress, and 98% of the United States right now is on lockdown, and that also includes the rest of the world, which gives us an opportunity here to gather on the internet and do these live streams. We may have to move Disclosure Fest, and if we do, we'll let everybody know. All of the information that you need is over at DisclosureFest.org. And all of our speakers and presenters and musicians and artists and all of the yoga and the tents and everything that we do for Disclosure Fest is there at DisclosureFest.org. Now, without our volunteers, this is a big organization. Without our partners, without our sponsors, we would not be able to help our community. And some of the things that we do here, which is incredible, and your donations help with all of this, is we do the Feed Your Souls initiative, where we have gone to downtown Los Angeles to Skid Row and fed 1,000 souls that are down on Skid Row. We have the Clean Air Initiative. With that, we have planted in Los Angeles over 21,000 trees, and we take care of those trees. We have the Every Elder Initiative, where we are going into convalescence homes and care centers and giving them the movement that they need and music and healing modalities. All of that happens with your donations. One of the coolest things that we do all year long is we have the beach and river cleanup. Go to DisclosureFest.org and click through and check this out, because we have cleaned up over 20,000 pounds of trash, removed it from our beaches here in Southern California. And one of the things that we started last year, very excited about this, is the Star Seed Initiative, where we are going into elementary schools with inspiring activities, not only at schools, but participating in their programs as well, showing them about plant-based food and the things that we do here at Disclosure Fest. All of this is done with your donations. And again, all you have to do is your donations will go direct at our website at DisclosureFest.org. Now, again, we have been keeping a close eye, and we are in contact with the state of California and the city of Los Angeles. And our festival, which is scheduled for June 20th, 2020, is in downtown LA at the historic Los Angeles Park. I have been the host, along with Michelle Anderson, of this since the very, very beginning. And I just want to say this. Adrian Valera was with myself and Rita having a private conversation 3 or 4 years ago. And he said, "Hey, Jimmy, I've got this idea, and I need you and Rita's help, and let's kick this thing off." And look at what has happened. This incredible community has grown. We went from so many thousands the first year, and the second year, the third year. This year, we expect to have 20 to 25,000 people at Disclosure Fest in 2020. And everybody knows we are itching to get out of our homes. And I cannot wait for Disclosure Fest because it is going to be the gathering of the year. And it's going to be incredible when we finally get to do that. So with that, I would like to bring on Amanda. Amanda, are you there?
Yes, I am.
How are you?
Hi, I'm great.
You look great. Now, this is the deal. Everybody, this is Amanda Sage. And I am going to say really quick that earlier, as we were chatting, I want everybody to look in the background. Look at her art studio. Look at the wave painting that is right there. Look at this. Absolutely incredible. And the size of the room is represented with your voice. So say hello again.
Hi. Am I echoing?
You are. And how much time do you spend in your studio each day?
Pretty much all the time. You know, it's a full life commitment.
It looks very inspiring, right? How can you not want to do something when you walk into a space like that?
I make a studio wherever I go. Right?
I believe you. Well, okay. Now, let me say this, and I'm glad you brought that up because we were talking earlier, and you're going to be going through this workshop today. And I assumed you were going to go back to the paintings and paint in the back. You said, no, I've got my easel right here. And boom, you can just set up anywhere and just have a go, can't you?
Well, I've had a lot of practice. I've spent a lot of time on the road the past 20 years, painting in all kinds of diverse situations. And, you know, the studio and your materials, everything, it can be anywhere. It's passion that fuels the work. You know, like my mentor, which I'm going to show some slides later and talk about some of my story. He worked with everything, you know, and those are the artists I really look up to, people that don't stop at materials being
the medium. Right. The medium can be anything, just as long as it's creative.
And I mean, you can create a masterwork on an airplane, on a bus, on a train.
I showed everybody my masterwork earlier. I did that on the back of a piece of paper. I won't do it. I was going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to draw with us today, right?
Yes, I'm going to be here. And I know Michelle went and got her colored pencils. She's ready to go. I wanted to ask you, how long have you been painting?
Well, I just never stopped.
From the age of 2?
Right. Well, you'll see a photo actually in just a minute. But I think we all start as artists. We actually all are artists. We just have it trained out of us in some way, shape, or form. We're distracted. You know, we have different interests, but we're all creative beings. And I was given some really great tools along the way. I mean, I was curious for sure.
Right.
But I've really committed my life to art for the past 20 years.
Can you take us through really quick your presentation? We're going to be doing this for almost 2 hours today. What can everybody expect? Take us through it.
Well, I'm going to give a little background to how I came to the Vision Train. And the Vision Train is this story that's been a guide. It's been a vessel that I have discovered or was brought to me. I feel in many ways it's not something that I came up with. And I'm going to give a little background to how I came to that, because many people, you look at an image and you're like, well, how did that happen? Where did that come from? Did you have that idea? Did you see it? Especially when you talk about visionary art, where does that come from? Did it come in a dream? Did it come through a vision? And I'm just going to talk a little bit about how I work. to kind of break that down, what some of my influences have been, and really what I'm trying to say through my work, and to encourage others. I teach art as well. I teach in workshops. I'm going to share a little bit about how I do this, because it's a bit outside of the system, in some ways. It's a little counterculture, but there's a kind of an underground train maybe that has woven itself through the whole world, and it carries a thread of an interconnected remembering, that we have roots. All of humanity has some common values and roots that we share, and I think art is one of those mediums that we can really connect that.
I appreciate all art. I was an artist once, and I did the industrial design thing for a long time, and that's how I paid the rent, and it was fun. I appreciate all art, but because everybody's getting creative, whether it's generic corporate art or something else. But do you feel that the best art, the most inspiring art, does come from the rebels that are outside of the box, that are not wanting to conform? Because once you conform, then you lose your edge.
Well, I think it really comes down to, what are you doing it for? And if you believe in that, if you believe in the core of the message of what you're trying to transmit, that's pretty solid. If you don't really believe in it, then there's an emptiness to it, And I think that there's a lot of emptiness that I see in the world, or I have seen, where what are we trying to do? Just get more likes,
Right. That's exactly my point. Right. In that, take a musician. Their best album's always the first album, when they were hungry and starving and creative. Money comes along, success comes along, album 2 goes into the tank. And the same thing with artists or writers, that when you are inspired, when you have a drive inside of you, that drive may be removed once success comes in, and the inspiration kind of goes away, because you are worrying about other things that success brings.
It's true. I talk about this a lot in my workshops.
Right.
That it's not something to make it your profession shouldn't necessarily be a goal. I think it really messes with the creative spirit.
Yeah. If you find your bliss, that bliss is something that you're not concerned with money. Right. No. But if the money comes along, great. But the bliss is what's most important.
Well, this is where where I am today, is because there have been people along the way that have seen what I am expressing, what I want to share, and have supported that. And I think that shift really happened once I was like, this is what I'm standing up for. This is my voice. This is what I really want to share. And when you're authentic like that, that's readable.
I'm excited. Can we get this started? You ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Nobody wants to hear me.
Oh, come on.
We're here for you. Amanda Sage, everybody. Thank you so much, Amanda, and we'll see you on the backside.
All righty. So we're going to get a screen share going here. Let's see how this will work. Boop, 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 boop. All right. So let's get going here. I hope you all can see this. I hope that there is let's see. Excuse me as I just get ready here. I don't know if you can see just a moment. All right, let's see if this works. All right. So, greetings all. Amanda Sage here. This is a presentation that I gave at the Envision Festival, which was in Costa Rica in February, the end of February. This is, wow, we were so lucky to be together there. Times are very different right now. And we're in a whole new world. We're in a whole new world. We're in a time unprecedented ever before. We're in a bit of shock. I am, at least. And I see this opportunity though of becoming a steward of the vision coming through you. What does that mean? Let's get on the vision train here. This is a painting that I did at Envision Festival, actually in 2018. And it represents this, it's a culmination of all my work before that, in coming together, seeing the nodes of humanity, connecting, the light workers, those of us that are stepping up and saying, there's another way that we could really collaborate and work in harmony together. And I see this as a movement that has been growing for a very long time, and now it is coming above the ground in a new surge of blooming. I see this movement carried by a train of thought, a train connecting all the visions and prayers of humanity into a story that can change the world. So when I was a kid, I was pretty lucky, I'd say. I grew up with some pretty awesome parents that were really, really open to different ways of raising children. And we had a poster, actually, of this on our wall. It was a really big poster, so you could really get into all these little details and see all the people and the scenes. And what's represented here is on the lower right-hand side, as you can see, there's a lot of green, there's colors, there's people kind of hanging out, there's water. It looks very harmonious. Solar panels. I mean, this is back in like the early 80s. And, it was really fun. It's almost like Find Waldo, and then you go up to the upper like left-hand side, and then you can see it starts to get a little like polluted. There's all kinds of scenes of maybe conflict and not really the world that the little kid me wanted to hang out in. So I made a choice pretty early on that I wanted to hang out where there was, people doing Tai Chi and hanging out in circles and painting and having fun, So that was a prayer that was made pretty early on. And here are my parents. I don't know if they're watching right now, but they're adorable. That's my mother, Yu, on the left, and my father, Jackson. And they're both wearing my art. And they really supported me and my brothers to explore and do what we wanted to do in the world. And here I am as a little kid down in South Florida, gobbing paint onto my easel. And if any of you have ever painted with me in a workshop or are familiar with my paintings, I don't gob paint. But I might get back to it one of these days. But here I started, and I was supported in exploring creativity. What does that mean? I went to a Waldorf school and was very blessed to have wonderful teachers there, and was introduced to the work by the Renaissance masters and Leonardo da Vinci when I was a preteen. And I remember looking at his work and being so fascinated and captivated by the beauty. And so I started to copy his work and Botticelli and some of those great masters. And I was very lucky to have a teacher by the name of Hikaru Hirata, a Japanese fantastic realist who was my high school art teacher at the Shining Mountain Waldorf School in Boulder, Colorado. And he really supported me and some of my friends who were really into drawing and painting to really pursue gaining skills and exploring our visions. I was really blessed to then go on to become an apprentice to the artist Michael Fuchs in Vienna, Austria, after I finished high school. And I did a real traditional apprenticeship, learning how to paint in the methods of the old masters. And it was a very fascinating time, very deep time of learning a skill. You know, any of you that have learned an instrument before, or anything that takes a lot of practice. This was time that I spent with Michael Fuchs, and he was a fantastic teacher and guide. And this was the first painting that I actually ever signed my name on in oil, because my first paintings were all helping him with his work, as was done with the old masters. And so after I finished this study with him, he introduced me to his father, who was this very famous Austrian artist by the name of Ernst Fuchs. Here's a photo of him. I'll go back to the other slide. But Ernst Fuchs was a real legend, and he was born in 1930, and he was one of the original founders of the School of Fantastic Realism. And he was a friend of Salvador Dali's and knew all of the great artists of that time. And I became one of his assistants, and I worked with him on a variety of different projects, and one of them being the Apocalypse Chapel in Klagenfurt, Austria. And that was a really intense experience over the course of 5 years. Every summer, I would go down there and help him with this project that took him over 20 years to complete, and over, I think, 30 different assistants during that time. And I was given the task of painting all this fantastic drapery that separated the images into heaven. I was known as the drapery queen. There's a little photo of me down on the left painting this. And I think since I was one of the youngest, they put me up on the ceiling, you know. But this was so interesting, the Apocalypse Chapel, getting to spend time and learning about Revelations and his perspective on that. It's very interesting to reflect on that now. So there's another picture of Ernst and I. And if you don't know his work, you should definitely look him up. He has influenced many artists, and Alex Gray considers him one of the godfathers of the visionary art movement. He passed in 2015, and this was a painting that I did as a tribute to him. I learned so much through being in his presence, through watching him paint, through seeing and really being able to be with a great master and a part of their daily life. You know, he never stopped making art, you know, whether it was on a napkin or his dedication was so deep. And in my early 20s, I remember painting with him 16 hours in one day and feeling so exhausted, and looking at him in his 70s, wondering how the heck he was able to do this. And you know, it was a kind of training that really helped me push through the image and go deeper and become a channel. So another great teacher of mine through the years that I lived in Vienna, Austria, was having a studio and participating in the WUK, Werkstätten und Kulturhaus. It's a 12,000 square meter culture house in the middle of Vienna. And it's an old locomotive factory, go figure. And it's for almost 30 years now, it's been a place of alternative culture. It's filled with artist studios, concert hall, alternative schools, musicians, dancers, groups from marginalized cultures, like rooms where people can meet. There's an asylum in emergency and lawyers that work with people that have no papers. It's an incredible place, and it's an experimental station for culture, and putting art at the center and community, and the way that it's organized was a big lesson for me in learning to work in groups and decision making as a group with so many different disciplines. And I was really fascinated with this and became one of the board members, was voted onto the board when I was 24. And this kind of an experimental space is something that has given me a lot of hope also in how art and activism can influence culture and community. This is a painting by a dear friend, Mark Henson, called New Pioneers. And this is also going back to that kind of question, here we are at a precipice. And I'm sure many of you that are tuning in here have been at this point in your life where you've seen, well, we could go down the red road and, if we continue doing what we're doing, this may not really, be such a great thing to leave to our children in the future and to our grandchildren. And maybe there's another way. And this painting kind of represents that. And there is another way, and we need those examples. We need those images. We need that art. We need the songs. We need to know that there is another way. And so this is what I feel that my life is dedicated to. And in 2005, I was in the mid-2000s, I was really questioning, well, what can I do to really contribute here? What images can I paint that could, trigger people to wake up or to remember all of those things? And so I read this book called The Story of V by Catherine Blackledge. And I read about this gesture called the lifting of the skirt, the anasaramai. And wow, right? If you haven't seen this painting yet, laughter is actually one of the first triggers. What the heck is going on here, right? So the anasaramai, the act of lifting the skirt, when I found out about this, I was like, well, I started talking about it and asking people, did you know that this was a thing? That this is a gesture that is so powerful that it can scare away the devil or to stop an army in its tracks? And this is in this book, she had found all these different references that had been quite marginalized around this gesture in cultures all over the world. And I thought that was just fantastic. It was like, wow, you can lift a skirt instead of drawing a weapon. Oh, this is a weapon. Wow. Okay. So I started doing sketches. I did a little painting, and then I realized, no, this is a much bigger painting, So this is a life-size piece. It's about 6 feet. And as I went, it took me 5 years to finish this piece. Because as I began, I didn't know, well, what really was I going to lift my skirt to? Like I couldn't just be lifting my skirt to the audience, right? I needed to make a statement. And so you see in between my legs is the table of power. It's a symbolic, right? 13 chairs. There are no features on the faces because I don't claim to know who they are. But there's a map of the civilized world on the table. There's a shopping cart half buried. There's some oil barrels turned over, car tires, some various trash bags and stuff. A little teddy bear too, like leaning up against the chair. A little teddy bear represents the forgotten innocence. And then on the left is war. On the right is slavery, slave to all kinds of aspects of religion and identity. And then you see this luminous egg, and this luminous egg is dropping out, is reaching down and striking the earth. This energy that's coming out of it, and this energy is kind of like this rebirth, right? This energy that is inherent in all life. It's this awakening to that. And where it's striking the earth, you see these little plants that are coming up, and it's also connecting with the individuals around the table. And that was a really strange moment when I questioned, at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm in my studio, quiet. It's the dreamland, right? And I'm wondering how is this connection happen? And as this electricity or this energy, right? I felt this veil lift behind me, and I heard voices. And it's not that I hear voices very often, I gotta say, and I was totally sober, and but I felt this great support with me of this and curiosity of the greats with me. What is this connection? What is she gonna do? And I realized that they were all just sitting in silence. that it was something that this shift that was going to come, that was going to happen, was going to be something that was going to happen for each of us individually. And so that was a very interesting thing. And that's a lot of things that happen in paintings. Like, I don't know exactly what's going to happen before. And this is one of those paintings that developed over 5 years of me asking the question. And then as you go up, you see, like at the heart chakra, you see the Metatron's cube. And Metatron's cube is this, it's the voice of God, right? And that's right at the heart. And at the throat chakra, that's the rebirth, the scarab. And then the full moon behind me. And today's actually the full moon. Very powerful time. Very powerful time to create. And then on either side, there are these two rainbow serpents. And these two came out of the image, and they became these kind of support. I saw them as these like protectors. And I learned later, after I had painted them, about this myth of this creation myth from the Gnostic myths, the myth of Sophia from John Lash, and talking about these aeons at the center of the universe and swimming around in this great soup of creativity, creating new things and sending them out into the arms of the universe. And the two of them came together in this union and created our genome. And Sophia fell so in love with this creation that she left her position as an aeon and took on the body of the planet, making the living planet Gaia. And when I heard that story, I was like, wow, that's incredible, you know? And so this painting has triggered a lot for me. This painting is also going to be in the first exhibition at the Entheon Museum that Alex and Allison Gray are building at the Chapel of Sacred Mirrors in New York. And I feel very blessed for this. And this painting has really triggered the rest of the work that I have created since. Burning Man. So let's shift to that. Woo! Totally different image. This is not a painting. Burning Man is the first place that I exhibited that painting. And Burning Man has been a huge, huge influence also in my life, in experimenting with community and going to a place that is basically like being on a different planet, creating something for a week where everybody is responsible for their, for what they bring in, and responsible to take that back out. Radical self-expression, radical inclusion. And it's been a place that has really inspired me to think big and to continue and to meet others, that are on this path as well. And really believing that, I believe that the majority of humans on this planet, want something similar. We just have to get on the same page. We have to get past like all this kind of like competition. It's really, there's a new evolution that we can really get on board with. And this is one of the places we experiment with that. Granted, it's not the most sustainable thing. It's ridiculous. The amount of stuff and money that's burned here. We burn the man, burn the money, but here we are also out of those ashes building incredible things. There's all kinds of wonderful initiatives all over the world. And, 90,000 people, I think, last year gathered. And I really, really hope that we'll be able to continue. And even if this in this form doesn't continue, it is spread all over. And, it's the conviviality, the coming together that is so important. Here's another photo of Burning Man. So another person that's really influenced me a lot is this hero of mine, Jim Shannon. Jim Shannon was an incredible visionary. He wrote this book, The First Earth Battalion Operations Manual, Evolutionary Tactics, late 70s, early 80s. If you've ever seen the movie, The Men Who Stare at Goats, Jeff Bridges played Jim Shannon, and there's all kinds of characters in there. It's a hilarious film. When Kevin Spacey shows up, it is not a true story anymore. That's basically what I know. But I really see, like, he's laid out a map for us in so many ways. He's illustrated it, and through his character, he's really given us something that I think now more than ever we need to look towards. And there are so many different luminaries like this down through the ages that have seen the future, have seen the possibilities and seen the clues, and they're so important to remember them and to continue with their work. And I know that he's with me all the time. And it was actually, I've listened to Coast to Coast AM for many years, late night when I'm painting. I love to listen to a bunch of people that tune in there and all kinds of wacky ideas and of this life and experiences. And I was tuning in to a show when he was on live and talking about 19.5 latitude in Hawaii and these energetic points on the earth. And this is where he built his little utopic land, Artesia. And anyway, I was able to call in and got on and tell him to check out this Alchemize conference. It was in 2011, a visionary arts conference. And we became good friends after that. And connecting the tribe. It's so important. We have all the elders with us right now. We have, the elders and the children. We have all the generations, I feel like, in this time to come together and really make an example, exhibit it, live it. Let's show as many people as possible that we if we choose love, if we choose understanding, if we choose compassion, we will be so much more abundant. And this painting called Regeneration is one of my most well-known works. I painted this in 2012, and it's a response that came. This painting wouldn't have happened if I hadn't painted the lifting of the skirt, I think, because I needed to really go deep into what it was that I was lifting my skirt to. What did I want? And this is what I want to ask you guys. What do you really want? That's what this exercise is going to be about. What is in your deepest heart of heart? How, and to not be afraid of that. And right now we have time, because we have this crazy jolt shift that's happened on this whole shift in humanity. We need to ask these questions, and it's the perfect time to do that. So this painting, Regeneration, is the first time that I really painted the train. And you can see it there. It's on the bottom part, kind of weaving itself. And there's a dome, teepees, there's Harlan's. He creates these harmonic sound chambers. There's a labyrinth, a circus tent. There's some Tesla coils, and there's all kinds of people partying on the train and off the train. And so to me, this was this exploration, an extension kind of of the festival experience, and an alternative world of education, of sight, sound, smell, taste, in all the senses, of creating this amazing experience where we could be fully participatory and and in it, and we can create this for each other. And I feel out of the festivals, out of this place of gathering, we can learn maybe some tools that we can carry back into our towns and our cities, and start to rethink how we are also in relationship with each other. And why not, really enjoy life? Why be always, a slave to the clock? But it's funny because the trains did bring us time, so let's consider that. What is time? I mean, that's something that I consider a lot, actually, and how we compress time. Do you ever, especially when you're making art, you can playing music or doing something fun, you lose time, where you're not just looking at the clock. When is this going to be over? There's something really magical to that. And so this painting has then triggered so many other paintings, and this kind of meditation for me in exploring this vision. So here I am painting at Lightning in a Bottle. And this is a festival in Southern California. And I painted this piece while I was there in the midst of the environment. And whenever somebody would come up to me and, be like, what's going on here? And question this piece. And then I would say, well, do you find yourself in here somewhere? Where are you? And then I would paint them in. And then they would be like, whoa, there I am, and they'd come back, they show their friends, and then I paint their friends in there. And this is like a interactive way of getting people to feel important. Like, we're all so important, we've just kind of forgotten that we have how valuable we are, how valuable our voice is, and that we're also, there's so many different ways to express and to share, but we need to share. And in this piece, I painted like within the egg, which has also been has been a really major symbol of for me over the years, as this place, the seed, this window of potential. And around it is kind of like, the city. And I'm not saying cities are bad, but we've kind of like really covered up the earth, in so many ways. I've had a studio in downtown Los Angeles for 10 years. And have been there in the midst of it to find, to be confronted directly. And I found so much beauty there as well, because in the midst of it, there's this need also to keep like looking beyond and through. And, so what do we want? And what can we do now? That's a really big question. And so continuing on this like live painting, because I find like a lot of these pieces can't happen just in the studio. There's something that I'm bringing through as a result of the gathering of the community, tapping into the collective mind in some way, or that's at least what I'm aiming for. And I've had the great opportunity to paint all over the world, and with all different kind of constellations. This was at the Boom Festival in Portugal, painting with artists from all over the world, with the music, with the dance, with all of it at once. It's like this ecstatic experience of being alive. And it's really taught me a lot. And given, especially in collaboration, you step out beyond what your ideas are, and you step into the dance, of the moment. And that's like, we get so stuck in our own mind. And I find that being able to collaborate and go beyond out of your own ideas, it's really incredible what can happen. Something can happen that's so beyond any one individual. And here's a picture that happened within like maybe 6 hours with 6 artists, or 4 hours, something like that, working with black light and normal light. Also at the Boom Festival, a couple years later, I did this huge mural with my dear friend Shrine. And the theme was the divine feminine. And these kinds of works are a result of the collaboration with a theme, with the people there, and asking for you. So you start with something, and then you let it flow. And I'm gonna keep coming back to that as especially as we start drawing. Here's also a live painting performance with Papadosio and Rising Appalachia. This is a big benefit event. Absolutely beautiful experience. This is also live painting at Envision Festival in Costa Rica. And this is my partner Joe Bob and I painting at Lightning in a Bottle. This was in 2016. And it's just so fascinating to be able to create these works. They happen so fast. And also, because there's witnesses there, and there's this great responsibility of showing up. Sometimes when we're by ourselves off in the, our studios, it's so easy to get distracted, right? I'm sure plenty of you know that. find a similarity there. That yes, it can be really challenging because there's so much potential that can happen, and we're some of the first ones that get in the way, of being like judging ourselves. It's just it's a real thing to get past. And so in the spirit of collaboration, I've also had some projects. I've been working on making clothing with my dear friend Shabnam Q for many years. And this is a project that's been going on for a good 5 years now, 6 years. And it's been a part of this train, of like developing this kind of language and wearing the vision, and sharing it that way. It's like you're wearing a flag, you're wearing, something, it's some kind of allegiance, some kind of spirit that you feel connected to. And that's really been like the drive for us. And this playfulness, the color. There's so many different ways to collaborate, and it's one of the funnest things for me. So I'd like to share a little bit about some of my methods of working too. And I paint in a lot of layers, and I don't always know where I'm going to go and how it's going to start. And this is a painting that I did at the Global Eclipse Gathering 2017 in Oregon. And I started this, it's a 36 by 36 inch canvas. And I started with charcoal on canvas in the top left slide. And then I started going in with acrylic and working with black. And I started with black, and I don't always know, you always start with some place on your canvas, and then you also start with one color. You can't start with a bunch of colors at once. And so don't think about all the colors, think about one, and that one will lead to the next one. And so this is how I developed this, and I had no idea what was going to happen when I started. But then when it came, when the vision, when the scene kind of revealed itself, then there it was. And this is the way the painting then ended up after many hours, then later in the studio. This story of the train and seeing the vision come together, this choice also of the green road and the red road is something that I've explored in so many of my paintings. And this is a self-portrait that I did as one of my, as a demo painting that I teach a lot of self-portraits in my workshops. And here I went into the feeling of seeing it, of seeing this happen, seeing humanity make these choices. And this is something that when I paint, I think about what I really want to see in the world. I think about my prayer. I hold it in my heart, and I don't have any really specific ideas. I try to not be too specific, actually, unless it really shows up that, as a defined vision. And here I am, seeing the dream come true. And this piece is called The Vitruvian Human. This is a painting that I did in 2016. It was a collaboration with my dear friend, Lucian Tarnowski. He called me up, and it was the theme that year of Burning Man was Da Vinci's workshop. And he wanted to collaborate with me in light of the Renaissance in Italy, and how there was this incredible collaboration between inventors, artists, and patrons that really created this Renaissance. And I think is really interesting at this time right now, we're in this great shift and change. It's very devastating. It's very sad. Actually, my heart really goes out to everyone that is suffering right now, and it's a time for a great exhale. It's a time to really draw in our, and breathe and heal. But after that, in history, you know, there's always, after a great plague, you know, there's been a renaissance. And so I predict that there will be a great renaissance after this, you know, and this is at this time, these are the seeds where we're planting the seeds of what will bloom. And that's one of the things that we can do during this time of Vision Quest, where we're in quarantine, where we're, you know, forced to slow down. And so this piece is very much about this prayer of a new renaissance, of the masculine and the feminine coming together in this harmony to birth a new world. And I see it in very, you know, to me, a new planetary civilization, you know, something where we get on board with being stewards and being, you know, waking up to our responsibility and to our creativity and the beauty that can come through our vessels, and to focus on that. Let's let this be a blossoming of art. And you can see there's trains on either side of these like fallopian tubes that are coming out. So this is the Vitruvian human. So you know, through creating these works, I also spend a lot of time, and I enjoy very much teaching. And my partner Joe Bob and I have been teaching this workshop series called Mixtec Mystics, and in places all over the world. And this was the most recent one that we just had at Punta Mona in Costa Rica. Stephen Brooks founded this permaculture educational farm, and we've been teaching art workshops there, which is very, very wild, going from downtown LA then to going to Punta Mona, Vienna, New York, all over the place. And you know, these gatherings, we come together and we become family, you know, and we all, you know, in a space of collaboration and cooperation and support. You know, everyone has a chance to blossom in an incredible way. And this was just recently at Envision Festival. This is with Sarah Wu. Joe Bob and I taught 6 different workshops in the pre-festival workshop series. And it was so beautiful to come together with so many people and inspire and create art together. So here's I'm going to show you another sequence of a painting and how it started. This is a 36 by 48 canvas, and with raw umber acrylic. I like to use the golden fluid acrylics. They have a very strong emulsion, very archival, and are very nice and high pigment to work with. And here I'm playing it was flat on the ground, and I'm finger painting with gloves on and to music, and just really getting into this kind of really visceral feeling of it. So, you know, go finger paint, you know, if you're like feeling at all conservative around, you know, feeling like you have to draw something or paint something, like finger paint, have fun, you know, like let's go back to the roots. And man, I had so much fun here. And I had an idea. I knew I was really fixated on, I've been drawing a lot of trees, and this tree is this kind of centerpiece here. So I knew that a tree was coming. So here I'm continuing to finger paint, bringing in some blue, going in a little bit darker. Then I started to sketch in some flowers and some little hummingbirds, all very rough though. And I'm just going darker into the canvas, very limited palette, and then adding even more dark. And then I switch at some point when I realize, you know, it's either the song's over, something's changed. I decide it's time to bring back the light. And then I put away the dark and I put on my light glasses, and not really, but, you know, just figuratively speaking. And I look towards the light, and then I start articulating and painting the value using different, I sculpt through thinning down the white and getting different values of light. And this is the foundation. It's kind of like a light skeleton, where then I'll start to bring in light washes of color. And these light washes of color you start with taking away the white and then keep going deeper into saturation and into color, which takes you deeper back into the depths, into the darks. And then I'll go back to the whites again, back into color, back into dark. And it's this kind of like spiraling cycle that I go through. And then there's the finished painting on the right, where you end up with all tools at the end, light, dark, and color. But it's a way to harmonically build up a painting. And it's the base kind of concept of the Mish technique, which I was taught by Michael Fuchs and Ernst Fuchs and continue to teach. And here's some of us gathering. So this is a part of the workshop. Joe Bob teaches a lot about psychotechnology based on the fourth way and getting deeper into really understanding who we are, or what we are actually. Where are we? What's going on? And what can we do? Really very basic kind of concepts of disidentification, which can be so helpful in all of life, and especially fantastic in working with art. Here's a picture of all of us in our paintings from this last workshop in Costa Rica. Working with the self-portrait is an incredible tool in reflecting, studying what you see, but also reflecting on what you are. Very fascinating. Here's some more workshop photos of our place here in Colorado, and dancing, super good medicine. After painting for many hours, you got to dance, and no matter what you do, you got to dance. If you're not painting, you better be dancing. and eating delicious food together. All of this is a part of this building of community, the building of conviviality. And we've been very interested in some terminology that we've come across in this past year, which is called Game B. What is Game B? Well, first, it's not Game A, which is the Western civilization status quo. A note from Joe Bob, late capitalist cults of commerce. Game B is a citizen-level social operating system. But we don't know what it is yet. We really don't know yet. But we do know some things. It's self-organizational, network-oriented, decentralized, and metastable. In short, the goal of Game B is a metastable society emphasizing human well-being built on good values that we will be happy to call home and we'll be proud to leave to our descendants. I really advise looking this up. Jim Rutt has a really beautiful essay out there around Game B. And there's aspects of this, and Game B, there's so many different roles and things and interests that we can be but Game B is all of society, all of the things that we as humans and human need, like parenting, education, Game B ventures and business, time banks, food, CSA programs, conviviality, group coherence, community values, housing, sense making, healthcare, finance. What are all the things that we need in life? And when we look forward, what is it that we can get more creative with? And so this is part of what I'm really interested in, and everybody that's watching this, you're going to have different backgrounds, different skill sets, different interests, and it's going to be a different thing depending on, your makeup. Where's your creativity? Where do you want to go? What do you want to contribute to? How do you want to be of service in making the world that you want to create? And so in that leads into the vision train. The vision train being something that we're going to build together. And this is a painting that I titled The Vision Train. Painted this a few years ago, working with a group of students in Vienna, Austria. And I use this theme of vision training, like for each of us, what does your vision look like when you drop into this concept of what do you want the future to look like? How could it be? How could we create something that could be inspiring to others, that could, trigger some ideas and like encourage others that their voice matters, that it's possible. What role do you want to play? So here's everybody blasting out their visions onto their canvases because it's all different, and there I am in the bottom left-hand corner. I'm the one looking straight at the viewer because this is my vision, right? But this vision is something that I'm exploring. I don't know exactly if this is the way it should look. I'm interested though, and I'm interested. I make this grid, and you might be see the familiarity with Burning Man. This grid is a fascinating grid of something that has been explored with community for the past, 30 years. And instead of putting the man at the center and burning the man, I like the idea of considering putting the sacred fire there. And the sacred fire being something that we can all gather around and remember our ancestors and remember all the trauma, all the displacement. And through that remembering, heal and go forward and link arms and link visions and step forward and creating this. See, there's this kind of like representation of a city. Maybe it's a New World's Fair, and it's right there with the city. And I like this idea of it not being out in the desert. I like the idea of seeing this come right into the midst of our homes and our towns. And the Disclosure Fest is a really interesting, actually, it's a project that is doing that. Every summer they've been throwing this free festival for one day in downtown LA. And it's kind of like that, it's really like that. And it's beautiful. It's showing people what else is possible. And to me, that's what disclosure is about. The disclosure is like, what else is possible? Let's see, what can we do when we actually come together and inspire each other and are fueled with the passion to create of possibility. So the vision train is a train of thought, a meme. What is a meme? An element of a culture or system of behavior that may be considered to be passed from one individual to another by non-genetic means, especially imitation. Thank you, dictionary. A viral idea. Terence McKenna said, what a gene is to biology, a meme is to ideology. Very, very interesting. So I came up with this project called the Vision Train. And the Vision Train is an interactive art movement, linking our visions into a self-manifesting destination of the most inspiring future. Contribute your vision and get on board as we build the longest and most colorful train in history. What is your prayer? What is your gift? What is your good? Each car on the train is unique, just like each of us is unique. The train represents the genius of humanity as it reflects our gifts, talents, service, and story. As you draw, feel your dream is real and true. The code is deeper than the surface. Be careful what you wish for. Art is magic. Art and vision equals big magic. This is a project that is traveling to schools, homeless shelters, prisons, festivals, art jams, offices, hospitals, retirement homes, and communities worldwide to inspire people to dream and remember their prayers. As the cars are created, they will be linked together, strengthening a collective vision for a hopeful and bright future. And so, we're not traveling all those places right now, but we are virtually. Right now, you guys are, all over the world and tuning in from your creation station, your place that is your place to dream, to imagine, and there is so much possibility within this. So this is the template that it's a link to download it and print it out is on the visiontrain.org website. And this is the little project we're going to do right after I finish this, a few more slides here. And, this is a container. I drew this actually as a project for my friend's 4th grade classroom a few years ago in Los Angeles. And it was a little line drawing of a train car. And my idea was that within that train car, is infinite possibility, in that container, what do you see? What do you want? What is your prayer? And you don't even have to know, you really don't have to know what it is, but you got to think about it, consider it, kind of drop in and feel it. Feeling is the most important thing. And then you begin. So I've started doing these workshops, little like going into schools, and inviting people in so many different scenarios all over the world to join me in this. And here are some examples. These are some kids. This was, I think, that first class that I did in that 4th grade, my friend Matt in Los Angeles. And these are what the children drew. And so sweet, so sweet. And each of them then shared their visions later. This is that first class that we did together. And so then we just kept going. And this is another class. This is a 1st grade in Los Angeles. And, every age group is going to have a different approach, but everybody has fun. These are with homeless teenagers in downtown Los Angeles, Skid Row. And this was very different. A lot of them are, they're interested in just like a home, or having friends, or, it's to think much broader, was such a different experience. We've also had the Black Rock City Station at Burning Man for a couple years. And this is a painting that I did. I finished it last year, and this is a piece called Regenerating Heaven on Earth. And you can see the train down the bottom part of this figure 8. And in each of the train cars are these, different possibilities. What's in there, And I think of all of you, and I think of all of us, and I see this as a vessel that can take us back on the tracks that took us to the end of the Western frontier, on a journey of regeneration, of healing, and of exhibition, of invitation to join us. Let's join into this experiment of living in a way that we can all flourish. And here you can see also the kind of the cities in the background and this kind of like polluting aspect. But then as we get closer, the rooftops are turning green, and there's solar panels in some, and this transition to like how can we make the transition? And I believe it's happening. I know it's happening. I've witnessed it. We just need to keep doing it. And the more of us that keep expressing and sharing, the closer, the more real it will become, because it's not about the destination, And that's kind of an interesting thing to consider with the train, because you consider a train is on one track and the track is going a specific direction. But what if that place that we're going, like say game B, for an example, like we don't know, but we know that there's certain values and aspects to it that are for sure, and that's something that we, love. What we want to connect through things that are commonalities. We want clean water, we want good food, we want nourishing, we want good education, all of these things. Like what is it that we want, and what is that prayer? How does that look to you? And I also wanted to share these golden memes from my friend Lucian Tarnowski. He shared this in Davos this year. This is from his foundation, Savannah, that this is our golden decade. Remember the future. Include and transcend. From me to we. Don't predict the future, achieve it. Cooperation outperforms competition. Green is the new gold. Back to soil and soul. We are nature. All in for all of life. And I feel all of this. I feel this is something that we're we're going towards, and this being something that was released in January, and in just a matter of a couple months, our world is totally different. And so reflecting on these words, on reflecting on these ideas, I feel a real call to action. And as my last slide, I want to share with you a painting that I did. It's called Arise, and there's a little poem that goes with it. It is time to rise above the horizon, limiting our imaginations. It is time to open the heart and allow it to guide. It is time to burn beyond concepts and trauma through conscious focus. I salute myself, my mission, and planet Earth. I am reporting to duty, and you all are my witness. I feel the burning of the crown of thorns as the fall of man into sin transmutes into freedom. I see the light grid of hearts connecting into an ever-changing life web, sparking consciousness as we see our reflections in the stars. This is what I see. I am transparent. I am unafraid. I am you. Whew. So with that,
I'm totally crying right now. Just listening, watching you, witnessing you. Amanda, you have really sparked the new Renaissance. It's here. It is here through you and what you're doing to help transform the world. I've always called you a galactic goddess. I'm wearing your art right now. But let's invite our viewers. I'm learning this whole Facebook thing as we go, and the whole live thing. And I hosted a watch party, and a bunch of my personal friends joined in, and they're loving what you're doing. So let's invite people to, it's visiontrain.org, right?
Visiontrain.org, yeah.
And on visiontrain.org, you have the train there where people can print that out and draw their visions and their prayers, correct? And are we doing that for the rest of this?
Yes.
This section now? Okay, I only wanted to jump in and invite our listeners and our viewers to go to visiontrain.org and draw with Amanda Sage. Thanks, Amanda. I'll be back at the end.
Okay, right on. Thanks, Michelle.
You're welcome.
Also, for those of you that don't have a printer or don't want to pause this to go print something, you don't have to, okay? You can just take a piece of paper or a sketchbook, and I would encourage you to draw something in the horizontal format, because then you could take a photo and we can just Photoshop it into the train car. So that's an option as well. Or you don't even have to do this project. You can just draw as you please. But I think, it's a really great idea to start with an intention. And drawing is for no matter how that little voice pops up in your head and says, oh, but I can't draw. I can't draw. Let's just turn that around and turn that into, yes, I can. Because what do you have to lose? And right now, you don't have to share it with anybody. You really don't. Like, this is a practice. If you are interested, you can add it to the train. I have collected about 1,000 of these already. And I'm still in the process of documenting them and making a little film to get them all together so we can see them. But you don't have to include it. You don't have to. I've given so many away just to say, just do this, right? So as we do this, and we're going to do it together, I'm going to do one too. And as we do this, don't be concerned about what's going to happen with it, where it's going to go, or any of that. Like, just be concerned with exploring your feeling. Don't need to have a specific idea of what you're going to draw. I don't right now. I have no idea what's going to happen. But I know if I show up and I ask the question and I'm curious, something's going to happen that I would have never thought of before. And that's kind of scary, but it's really, really, really cool. It's very interesting. So with that, I'm going to also show you, I'm not going to show you a bunch of them now because I want to kind of give you that freedom and that space to go into your own vision. It could be also a specific vision. There may be some clue or some idea that you have that you're like, yes, I want other people to know about this. Like, this is on the train for sure. It's some aspect of maybe some invention that you've created, or something. What do you feel drawn to? Maybe it's gardening. Maybe it's caring for children. Maybe it's something that is on the train. And I don't know if there's a lot of great train songs out there, and I wish I had a playlist to share with you right now of train songs. But but Cat Stevens, The Peace Train. I grew up with that song too. And, he says in there, pack your bags and bring your good friends too. The peace train's coming. And I feel that, it's still coming. And, when you get on that side of thinking about the future instead of worrying about it, wow, it's such a different experience of life. And our time is our life. Our time is the most valuable thing. So thank you so much for spending this time with me. I hope that there's something of my life or experience or whatever of the images that can also encourage you to not be so afraid in these times, to step into the opportunity and the possibility of what can come after this, the renaissance that's possible as we join our visions together. So what I'm going to do, I have my little train car here. I'm going to work on it so it's somewhat in the screen. I have some colored pencils that I'm going to use. You can also be painting if you want to be painting, anything, however you want to creatively express yourself. I also, if you printed out the piece, you'll see on the other side of it that there is an area that you can also write your vision in words. And then you can also, if you printed it out like this, you can fill out your information if you want to also connect it into the train. This is an interesting way to go deeper into your vision, to describe your vision in words. Always do this though after. I suggest do it after the drawing. And then kind of like giving it away is also a very interesting concept, because when you give it away, it becomes free. Give away your gold so that it may be seen. And then as we link them together, they become they are strengthened, and our visions are seen. We need to draw out the visions so that they may be seen, and then we become also more responsible for our own vision, because we are giving others a chance to be witness to that. And that's pretty powerful stuff. So let's get started. Let's get started with this declaration experiment. I'm going to play some music for you, and we're going to give it we're going to give it about 20, 30 minutes of some focused arting time together. And I am going to play some music let's see, let me get onto this here. I'm going to play some music, Yaima. And Yaima is a beautiful musical group that I absolutely adore their music. And I wanted to read to you a little bit of, just real quick, this album of theirs, Antidote. And I thought this would be such a wonderful thing to accompany us as we draw. Let's see. Yaima's third album, Antidote, done in 2018, was carefully crafted as a journey, a pulsing and fluctuating expanse of soundscapes entwined through the delicacies of human emotion. From start to finish, this album is a portrayal of the element of fire, the dance of passion and renewal, the deep inner work of intention and the cultivated patience of devotion. Born of an ancient tune, layered in time, Antidote was written as a way to rekindle the spark of inspiration and new growth, the idea of transmutation and the power of transformation. These stories have come to life through the lessons and reflections written in the turning flames, wildfires, volcanic activity, the rising smoke, and by the warmth of the earth's heart. The dragonfly is generally associated with transformation, change, and adaptability, joy, and lightness of being. It is a powerful symbol of the realm of emotions, an invitation to dive deeper into what is felt, and a reminder to reconnect with nature. All right, so happy creating, everyone. I will fade out the music in about 20, 30 minutes, and we'll share some more vision trains with you, and have fun. And my advice would be, out of your colors or whatever you start with one. Start with one that jumps out at you and says, me first, me first. Don't get heady about it. And then just start with one area on your canvas. And maybe you just draw dots. Maybe you draw bubbles. Maybe whatever it is. Just draw and hold your feeling. Hold this feeling, this prayer for what you want to see come in the future. And let's see what happens. All right.
from the moment of its birth. houseless foundation of earth catches the water, feeds us from birth. Constant revival, ancient the medicine, born in the moment. Familiar genesis brought to the end. Thread was unstrung, one step at a time. Center the foothold, decided the course by what's left behind. The journey begins from what is inside. Wasted, balanced perspective till each heart is honored. Continue with patience, increasing the spectrum, challenge the borders, expanding collective.
All right, folks, how's it going out there? I wish I could see all your smiling faces. I know this is, you're like, wow, let's not stop now. You know, we're just getting going, right? And that's how it works. You know, you gotta start somewhere and then just open that field, open that vortex of potential, of opportunity. Say, you know, you have to show up often for the vision to come. And I know this is the Mass Meditation Initiative. And Adrian, when we were talking earlier, he said, you know, a little meditation is good in there. And I was like, oh, of course it's good. And I see this and art making as a form of meditation, especially when you do it intentionally. You know, when you're going into it with a prayer, and your prayer does not have to be specific. You can just be curious and open. You know, make me an instrument. That's how I feel, you know, and it does take some practice. It does take, you know, practice to feel confident in anything, right? Here's my little train car right now. I'll show you what I'm doing. And I see, you know, the seed is kind of what showed up in the center. And the seed is our potential, all of us together. The seed of humanity. This potential of coming through. And here in the Northern Hemisphere right now, I'm in Colorado. And, you know, the sun is starting to warm all the little seeds. They're waking up. The leaves on the trees are starting to come out. You know, it's a time of rebirth. How interesting that we're in this rebirth as well, in this great shift. And the mushrooms, so I drew some little mushrooms in there. The mycelium has been here all along. And there's this fantastic film that just came out recently called Fantastic Fungi. And please watch it. You can download it. And it's so beautiful the way it was filmed. And it helps us see like an opportunity and a potential through the study of mushrooms and using them for so many different things. You know, we're connected here through the internet in a kind of a mycelial way. You know, it's so interesting to see the patterns in nature. So shall we do another song or two songs? How do you feel? Since I can't see a raise of hands, I'm gonna guess yes. Let's do one or two more songs, or one more song. How about one more song? We'll drop in and make a few little marks. You don't have to be finished right now. Remember that. You can work as long on this as you want. But let's play one more song here, and then I'll show you. Maybe Michelle will come on, and we'll chat a little bit, and I'll show you some more train cars that are really cool that I've collected over the years. Okay, so here goes one more song, and even just one song, right? What can happen in that time? I found all kinds of new things. I found this eye that was like a leaf that was sprouting out of the seed. And it represents to me this kind of this consciousness that connects all of us, the plants and the mycelium and all us animals and humans. And it's, to me, it's this connection, this kind of this wisdom that is so miraculous and so deep, you know, that makes this experience possible of life. And, you know, really revering that, giving attention to that, and being thankful, and to see or to get close to, you know, to just acknowledging it, you know, acknowledging that presence. And so I feel this also, this, you know, this celestial energy, this support from the earth, all of the beings, you know, this is such an opportunity in time for us to realize our role in being grand creators. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do? I look forward to seeing all your train cards. And, you know, there's a way to upload them on the website, and I would love to hear your words. I would even love to hear a declaration. You know, there's some examples on the Instagram that you can see people that have given little 1-minute declarations, or, you know, just sharing about their train car. So that would be so cool. I would love to see them. And yeah, would you like to see some of the train cars? Some that I've collected over time. There's some really fabulous ones in here. And let's start. This is a little kid in Costa Rica just a couple months ago. And this little child wrote on the back, "This painting represents that everyone is different." And this is one that I think a 4th grader did. This was at another friend's school in Watts, right up in Los Angeles. And she writes, "In my painting, I used an eye as a symbol of how I see the world in my eyes. I put the world in the background to set the picture on how the world is looking at me and saying, we can do those things to help." This is another drawing from a middle school boy also in Watts. And he wrote, "I see a community sticking together through a bad weather." Friends, that gives me chills. Here we are. This was just done a few months ago. This is another middle schooler from the same school. And she didn't write anything. She focused just on her drawing. But she wrote, "We're different, but we're the same." And it's so beautiful. This is a drawing by Nick D'Angelo, a fantastic artist. And he wrote, "Live in your heart and peace will spread." This is a drawing by Stefan Lucas Allen. He's also an incredible artist. You should check him out. And he wrote, "A world in which astral traveling, lucid dreaming, animal communicating, and other things of the sort become or are completely normal things that every human has the chance to do and develop. The world gears towards entirely sustainable practices, eventually enabling humanity to travel amongst the stars in every dimension. The positive human potential of interdimensional diversity is fully unlocked." Yeah, like that. And Pai Han, she's from Taiwan. She created this this one, and she wrote, "My visionary future will be the humanity have more sympathy with each other and the nature and live in harmony with Earth, planet, plants, and animals in the universe." I can get on board with that. This was created in Costa Rica just a month ago. Embodying waves of change in the form of a ripple, each ring expanding and radiating in waves to be more grand, demanding attention, expand with reason and love. And Elise painted this. This was created by a young man here in Gunnison, Colorado during the Headwaters Conference last fall. And this is Elliot. Elliot wrote, "Flying a carrot towards a future of sustainable agriculture." I love the humor in this one. This is Preston Goodrich. Did this at Envision Festival. "No matter how broken the pieces may be, the colors never fade, nor the light. Complete fullness and love." Okay, a couple more. This is an example. I love this one so much because this person left it open and painted everything around it. And it gives this incredible sense of space. I love this one. Cheryl, she didn't write anything. And here's one last one. This is created by Sarah. She writes, "Open my heart. Shake my colors. Expand. Transformation, gratitude, positive impact, inspiration, growth, love, truth, and joy." So I feel all excited. That was so fun to share this with you.
Wow. You know, just listening to you, Amanda, you have really planted seeds in every one of our viewers' hearts and inspired us to go deeper into whatever this journey is that we're all on. A lot of us are feeling like we're going into the unknown right now. And on Awakening Code Radio, we've been talking about the movie Frozen 2 and Into the Unknown. And your message today was really profoundly inspiring to not only me, but this watch party I had going over on a computer on the other side. I went into our Awakening Code Radio fan page and just started inviting people. And some of their comments, I don't want to be looking over that way at some of their comments, but they were resonating with everything you were saying. I invited a couple of artists. One of my good friends, Letty Stiles, is an artist, and she did an art workshop yesterday. And when she stayed the whole time, I asked her to send me what she came up with, but she hasn't sent it yet. She wants to take your classes now and study with you, because I think a lot of people are realizing that if we put ourselves in the box of I'm not an artist or I'm this kind of an artist, we're in a box. And what you just did is you completely opened the field and made everybody an artist. Whatever was coming through, I loved that you said, if you don't know what to draw bubbles or draw dots. I personally am not a person who can even draw stick people normally. And I've even joked about that. You know, I don't usually draw a straight line, even with the ruler. It's totally outside of my comfort zone. And I just started drawing dots. I don't know if you can see, I just started in a corner and started drawing dots, and they kind of changed shape a little bit. But what I was really sensing into was how we are all different sparks of light on the globe. But when we unite, we are this force field of light that is bringing change to the planet. And you have definitely put us in that space. The music you played, can you tell our listeners who that was again? Yaima, is that?
Yaima, Yaima, Yaima.
Yaima. The music was very meditative. Like you said, when Adrian talks about the Mass Meditation Initiative and leading meditations, in our minds, a lot of times a meditation is somebody talking us through it. But what you did was had us tune into our own creativity through the music. And I can just feel myself going back into that place of dropping in. That's what you were inviting us to do, is to drop in. And I can already tell that you started something and now we all want to go back to it because we're not done yet. And more inspiration is coming and more is bubbling up for each one of us. You've given us a lot of peace today. So many people are feeling a little bit uncertain about where we're going. And what you did is had us just be present to right now and what we want to co-create. And that is why Disclosure Fest is focused on the mass meditations and getting people to our Disclosure Fest event in June. Because when we're all together and everybody's a piece of this new renaissance and you're feeling the music and the art and the performances and the workshops, we do feel that we are embodying the flower of life, where our circles are laying on top of each other's circles and we're inviting everybody in. I love the visual of the train. We're on the peace train, and so many people are realizing it's time for us to get on that. And what's happening right now in the world is being co-created every moment by where our thoughts are. Mm-hmm. And our job as co-creators is to focus on what we want to see, the outcome we want to co-create together. And you've done that for us today. Thank you so much, Amanda. I can't wait to be with you and hug you in person and get more of your art on clothing so that I can keep spreading your message. And people always stop me when I wear your art, and especially on airplanes. The flight attendants say, "Wow, you bring your own blanket with you." And I said, "Yeah, and it has pockets, and check it out. It's reversible." And so I'm always telling people about wearing your art, and I just feel so blessed and uplifted. I want to also thank our sponsors today, because you know that Disclosure Fest does these events. The mass meditation is done on a donation basis only. So we have some sponsors that are donating: Follow Your Heart, GT's Kombucha, Calafia Farms, and Biomats. And we appreciate anyone who's inspired here to make a donation to directly fund our 6 humanitarian initiatives: the Starseed Initiative, the Every Elder Initiative, the Clean Air Initiative, the Clean Oceans. All of these initiatives are put on by Disclosure Fest. And so we thank you. Thank you for being a part of this, Amanda, and bringing us all into our creative hearts and ushering in the new renaissance. Thanks for also bringing up the masculine and the feminine in balance and harmony, because that does feel like a thread of energy that's happening right now. It's inviting us to come back into harmony with each other, balancing our masculine and our feminine within and in all of our relationships.
Yes. And
you are beautiful.
And I remind everybody also to please, when if you feel like sharing your Vision Train card, to please, you can upload them through an application on the website. And then that way we can link them together. Train cards are linked by couplers. That's what they're called. And they're like hands. And then we push and then we pull. And there we can be witness together of each other's vision. And and support and build that momentum happens through us hearing the call and taking the time to do the work. It's time for us to do the work. You know, sit down and continue diving into the curiosity of the potential of the magic and the transmission that can come through you when you show up to your canvas, show up to your work, and do it more, do it for all of us.
Thank you for your inspiration. And let's thank Adrienne Valera from Disclosure Fest, Nilu, the Disclosure Fest team. We wouldn't be able to put this on without Neil Gore from Portal to Ascension actually getting us into this Zoom room and putting this out to YouTube and to Facebook. Thank you so much. And Amanda, I can't wait to hug you in person and learn more from you and be more inspired. So your website again is?
Well, thevisiontrain.org is about the Vision Train, and amandasage.com is where you can find my work and also any workshops. I'm going to start doing online workshops, so if anybody feels inspired to join in, reach out.
You did a great job today. Thank you. All right, we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome. Join us again tomorrow. We have another Facebook and YouTube Live tomorrow, Wednesday. Who do we have? Jay Brave, Remember Your Divine Nature. And we have Robin Parrish and Atasia with Ecstatic Dance, 2 to 4 p.m. tomorrow, Wednesday, April 8th. And happy full moon.
Happy full moon.
Yes. All right. Mwah.